Alright guys, Future Patrick here. I forgot to mention, and it's kind of obvious, this is not the face reveal video, and this is not the meme deck profile video. I'm waiting to do those videos later in the late week when I have time off from work, so they will be better edited and better for you guys. I know I haven't uploaded in 9 days, work is kind of killing me, but anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave some comments down below, and leave a like, subscribe if you're new, or if you haven't already subscribed. And I will see you in the next video. And leave me some feedback down below on this list. And peace. Alright, guys. This is not a traditional Dark Magician deck list. This is Red Eye Fusion deck, hence the name of the deck profile down here. I really like this deck. It's not expected when you show up to a locals with this, I will say that. But anyway, we're gonna get into it. It's kind of stock standard if you've played a Ref Turbo deck before. But anyway, let's move on. 2 Dark Magician, 2 Vanilla Red Eyes. It's mostly so they don't get milled off a Shizu tier. Optimally, you'd play 1 and 1, so you never fucking see them. But now we're kind of forced to play 2 and 2 because they do be getting milled sometimes when we're playing 1 Wyvern. The Banish effect comes up sometimes, but it's also just good to send it off Insight. Also, playing 2 and 2, it means you can resolve 2 Red Eye Fusions without. Won't really happen until we get Red Eye's Black Meteor Dragon. But nonetheless, it could come up in a really grindy game, which I don't really see that happening in this format, but it could happen. 2 Ash because we're playing cross out. We don't want to lose to Ash, which is what this deck mostly fucking loses to. Then we're playing 1 called by because, again, Ash. You could swap out the floodgates with hand traps if you wanted to. Draw 1 Lockbird is one I really like for rogue matchups against, like, Sword Soul, Drytron matchups. Ref and Insight are kinda given. Sorry. Ref and Insight are kinda given. If you've seen Lowe's last video over Dark Magician Red Eyes deck testing, Insight searches Ref by sending a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, hence, Red Eyes Wyvern. I'm not on the black metal package, but you could play it if you wanted to. I kind of want to go for more of a heavy trap lineup. We want to go first, but we can go second too, thanks to Vaside, obviously. But we could go second because, Dragoon just be good. We are playing triple Extrav and 1 Desires for draw power. Soul Servant is kind of in a bad spot, and you wouldn't play it in a deck like this just because you're not really using any Dark Magician spell traps. You could play Apprentice Illusion Magician in here with like a small like Dark Magician engine to protect your Dragoon if you wanted to. That is a option, but I don't want to play Soul Servant in a deck like this, and I don't think Apprentice justifies it. But if you wanted to, you could just slap in 3 Apprentice and just protect your Dragoon from Access Code. But Extra, really good to draw. Desires is something I'm testing. You could cut this card and play like Upstart or just something else. It's mostly here for after you've resolved Ref and you've got your DM and you've got your Red Eyes out of the deck to get to your power cards, your Secret Villages, your Solemn Judgments, your Gozen matches, your Imperm, stuff like that. It's to help you push more. Now, these 2 cards do conflict a little bit, but not enough to where I would cut one over the other. I think 1 Desires is fine. But you could swap this out for the terraforming that we are siding and just have more Secret Village. I like Secret Village for Branded Bestial matchups. Branded Bestial is not a rogue strategy. I will say that. Branded Bestial is very good. I personally think the top 3 decks in the game is Sprite, or not Sprite, Shizu Tier at number 1, followed by Fluunderies and Sprite at number 2. Flu is only really good this format because it has a good Shizu matchup. If a Shizu Tier wasn't the best deck, I don't think we'd be seeing as many Fluunderies. We'd still be seeing it, but not as much. In my opinion, then the 3rd best deck would be Branded Bestial. And this deck is very good for that. It's also just good against rogue decks. like any pure Despia pilots or Sky Striker. It's not completely dead after Mystic Run. I still see a couple at locals and stuff like that, or not at locals, but online in testing, and it's just really good against like runic decks too. So Village do be good. Do not sleep on the Village. Cross out and call by we already discussed when we went over the Ash. Chalice and Imperm can just win you matchups against certain decks. Sloza, use the example as Sword Soul, which is pretty pretty good as an example. Um, Play them before you use your F. Hit those Omni Negates. Hit Baron, hit your Borreload Savage, hit anything that can negate your Red Eyes Fusion. If Even if you're playing Dark Magician, right? And you're playing against a format Appaloosa, imperm to fucking Appaloosa. You're not playing through an Appaloosa with Dark Magician without a way to negate it. But these two cards will serve essentially the same purpose. Droplet, I decided to side over Chalice in the main because I don't want to be sending a whole bunch of cards. Because we already have to have a negate for Dragoon, right? And then this is another card we have to send off Droplet. So I didn't want to do that. I'd rather just set these cards or hang on to them. But moving on, these are to help you like for going second. We got double Gozen. Gozens have really strong floodgate along with rivalry. Dragoon and Judgment is just insanely strong. If you played old school Dark Magician like before Illusion of Chaos came out, when we played Anaconda. Back then, Wrath and Judgment going first was just against a lot of decks. You kind of just won if you knew where to hit the Solemn Judgment and you had like a ref. Then Soul Drain is a spicy tech I like, and if you're struggling to beat a Shizu tier limits, side this fucking card. Monsters that are banished as well as monsters in the grave cannot activate their effects. So this would conflict in a traditional Dark Magician deck with Magician's Rod, but that would really only be Magician's Rod. So Soul Drain, very good card. Love this for going first. This deck wants to go first, but it can go second, preferably first. Side deck is kinda up to locals and event preference. I'm siding Summon Limit for going first. Summon Limit plus Ref and a Judgment going first is just enough because you get rid of both their monsters when you just punch, which is kind of funny. But then we got Terraforming and Necro Valley again for Shizu tier against or just any graveyard deck. Again, you could swap out the Desires and main deck the Terraforming if you want, but I prefer it in the side with the Necro Valleys. Regeki and Cosmic could just be Lightning Storm if you wanted to fit something else in here. I'm not a big fan of Lightning Storm because it's easy to play around, but you could play it. It's just personal preference. Then Droplet for going second, obviously. The extra deck really, you really only care about Dragoon. That's the only extra deck monster you're going to be summoning. So the other stuff, which will be banished off Extravagance, doesn't really matter. So I just put Dark Magician cards in Elder Entity Natis. So anyway, let me know what you think about this, and if you've ever played a deck similar to this, let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.